Hey, great day. Welcome to the House of Masculinity. I'm Black Jake. It's Monday, November 28th, 2022. And we're gonna have a conversation tonight about dang man, I'm sorry y'all. I'm having some trouble with my setup for whatever reason. I don't know, they fucking with me tonight. My live setup. Yeah, I tried to go live and get right, but I was having some technical difficulties. It's like my Streamlabs fucking up on me, y'all. I don't know what's going on, but I think I got it together. Salute. Once again, I'm Black Jack. Thanks to everybody that's been supporting the channel. You know, everybody that's been subscribing, tuning in, digging the videos, hitting the like button. Man, I really appreciate y'all. Tonight episode, we talking about Tustenuggee, Negro Fort, and the Negro War. Salute. And on that, on the thumbnail, that's a picture of Tustenuggee of Mathila. Now, what you gotta understand, it's more than one Tustenuggee. It's a few Tustenuggees. Tustenuggee is actually a title. It's a title for a warrior. But the one we talking about tonight is Tustenuggee Mathila. You know, he was a so-called Negro, as you see on the thumbnail, and I'll put it back up for a minute. Here's a depiction of Tustenuggee. Yeah, he was a so-called Negro or black or whatever, but he was a similar Indian. And basically, Tustenuggee is the average depiction of what a similar Indian would be. You know, we get a lot of these fake images, like even in the football teams. Look at when you look at the Florida State Seminoles, you know, they ain't really depicting what a real Seminole look like. Now, they might have used to depict something close to it, but then they whitewash the image like they do with so many other images. So I wanted to start off and set a foundation by showing y'all a real historical depiction of Tustenuggee Immaculate, and that's what we're talking about. And of course, we're going to talk about the Negro Fort and the Negro War. And for those of you that don't know, the Negro War is the Seminole Wars. Salute. But let's dive right in. And we're going to start off with Tustenuggee Mathila. And I'm going to get my setup straight real quick, so y'all can see what I'm reading from. Alright. So here's a whitewashed image of Tustenuggee. You know, here's the pretendian image, you know. Salute.
You big dummy.
We know the synagogue of Satan want to whitewash everything. So this is what they're going to try to tell us Tustenuggee look like, even though we just looked at the historical image and saw this clearly a nappy-headed Negro. But anywho, we're going to dodge the hijack. Shout out to Drop Nation and Cootie Mayo. We're going to talk about Tustenuggee Immaculate, a.k.a. Jim Boy. You know, like I say, Tustenuggee is a title basically, you know, and Immaculate is a title also. But as far as they know, his name was Jim Boy. So let's dig into it. We're going to read from this here. And this what we're reading from right now is, what's the site it's on? Let me pull up the site. Winoa Stories, where he did a nice little story on Tustenuggee. We're going to read from Winoa's story. All right. Jim Boy, or Tustenuggee Mathila, was born around 1790 or 1795. They really don't know. Probably in what was to become the state of Alabama. Shout out to everybody in Alabama. Shout out to the tribe. Salute. Salute to all my new subscribers out there from Alabama. Salute. During his childhood, white settlers were displacing his people from their homeland, taking their land and pushing them out of their homes. In 1809, the Shawnee chief Tecumseh visited the Creek towns spreading the new Native American gospel. Tecumseh's brother, Tenskwatawa, had been visited by the Great Spirit in the vision. Okay, Tenskwatawa was visited by the Most High. The Great Spirit had told Tenskwatawa that he had punished the Indian people because they had taken up the ways of the white man. He said that if the Indians would return to the old ways, he would help them drive the white man from their land. Tecumseh had left the Creeks with magic red sticks, which would make them invincible in battle. So Tecumseh came through with the red sticks, sort of like Moses turning the serpents into sticks, huh? Salute. Alright, this was the start of the Creek Red Stick movement. Several Creek towns, including the one where Jim Boy lived, returned to the old ways by doing away with manufactured goods and returning to hunting. See, they got rid of the pork chops and the Doritos and all that old bullshit, the honey buns. They went back to hunting. They went back to the old ways. And dang, I got lost. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why my thing scrolled up. Alright, this was the start of the crash. He went back to the old ways by doing away with manufactured goods and returning to hunting. In their fervor, the Red Sticks started raiding the homes of Creek non-believers who were living like the white man. Some of these families fled to Fort Mims, joining white settlers living in the area. Jim Boy, a warrior in his teens called Highhead in those days, belonged to a band of Red Sticks. The Spanish in Florida, eager to cause trouble for the new United States, were supplying the Red Sticks with ammunition. But at this time, the Red Stick War was a civil war among the Creeks. Yeah, it was like the sellouts versus the house niggas versus the field niggas, Hey, they ain't going to go back to the ways like the Tecumseh brother said. Like the Most High came to them in the spirit and told them they were living like the white man, so it was war. So when troops from Fort Mims found out about these trips to Florida, they ambushed Jim Boy's band on their way home. Jim Boy escaped without harm, but the Red Sticks decided to attack Fort Mims in retaliation. The result was a massacre. 300 people were killed, including soldiers, settlers, as well as the Creek refugees, the sellouts who ran with the whites, who were actually the Red Sticks' targets. See, they were targeting the sellouts. Jim Boy was one of the attackers. Okay, so Tustenuggee and Mathley, he was one of the attackers. This is when Andrew Jackson got involved. He had organized a band of Tennessee volunteers to fight against the British in the War of 1812, but had been told they weren't needed. The Fort Mims incident gave him an excuse to use his troops, and what resulted was the greatest slaughter of Native American people in the history of the United States. Jackson went from town to town through the Creek domain, slaughtering men, women, and children. Jim Boy and other Red Sticks fought, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Thousands of their people were killed. After concluding his rampage with the Battle of the Horseshoe Bend, Jackson imposed a treaty on the Creeks which took 2/3 of their domain. Even though the majority of the Creeks opposed the Red Sticks and actually fought with Jackson against their own people, their land was taken too. See, so the Creeks that would try to be down with Jackson and say, man, we ain't down with them Red Sticks, man. We want peace, boss. Yeah, he took their land too. In 1835, when the Seminoles were fighting for their freedom down in the Florida Everglades, the U.S. government enlisted other Indian tribes to fight against them. See, at this time, divide and conquer, y'all. At this time, Jim Boy was known as Tustenuggee and Matla among his people. Tustenuggee was a title meaning taskmaster, awarded to him because of his leadership, and the Matla was his family name. Well, see, and that's being said differently in different places. Some places said Tustenuggee meant warrior in their tongue, and then the Matla meant disciplinarian. Here is saying something different. But, let's move on. Jim Boy was now a farmer, and he had a wife with 9 children. Settlers were threatening his home, so he gathered a group of 900 warriors to fight the Seminoles for the promise that his family would be protected. So he got 900 warriors together. He got down with Zadie government. He said, yeah, man, I help y'all fight these Seminoles as long as y'all protect my land. Now, see, and they still lost the land. When Jim Boy and his men returned from Florida, Their land had been taken over by white settlers, and their families had been rounded up and taken west to Indian Territory in one of the most brutal of the removal stories. Not only that, his family had been on the Monmouth, the Mississippi steamboat, which had blown up with 600 Creek immigrants on board, killing 300. Four of Jim Boy's 9 children were drowned. All right, now, yeah, that was when they was headed out to the Indian Removal Act. They was on the steam boat, Mama. They say they trying to say the boat crashed into another boat, but other people saying the boat got blown up. So not only did he try to help the government fight his own people, it backfired on. They still took his land and a boat with 600 creeks going to the Indian removal place up the Mississippi River got blown up with 4 of his children on it. Now you see what happened when you do ugly against your own tribe. The Most High don't like ugly. When you sell your people out. And yeah, you could pull up, if you want, you could pull up the story on the sinking of the Monmouth, the 1837 Monmouth disaster on the Mississippi River. And they, if when you pull it up, they're gonna give you hijack. They're gonna try to lie about the story. They ain't gonna really tell you all the drop, but you gotta understand what the drop is, and even other nations that wrote about it in the newspapers of the time, they were saying that that was a slaughter. They was trying to the U.S. government was trying to say it was an accident, but other nations were like, yeah, right, that was a straight up slaughter. So let's dig on now that we know who Tustenuggee and Motley is. This not this pretendian here, more like this guy here. They clearly keep whitewashing your images. It's all good because we're gonna wake the tribe up anyway. So we see Tustenuggee and Mathla was a Negro, but he not the only one. He was a Seminole Indian, full-blooded Seminole Indian. And they that's why they want to whitewash his image. He was full-blooded Seminole. And so were a lot of the other Negro Seminoles. They was full-blooded Seminoles, but they want to try to say, well, his mama was an African slave, his daddy was a Seminole, and she was his slave. They want to try to, but they ain't what they intend you was the Seminole father was a Negro also, and the mother wasn't no slave. This just they hijack story, and they always throwing the implication. They always saying possibly or we believe. They don't give you hardcore facts that they don't have. But let's continue. Let's get into the Negro War. Now, what a lot of people don't know, a lot of people probably never heard of the Negro War. Florida's Negro War. And let me get off the screen so y'all can see what I'm looking at. If y'all want to do your own research and you want to look up some of the information yourself, I'm gonna get off the screen so you can see it. So we're looking at Florida's Negro War right here. This is a book that was written by a historian. And he's saying, the Florida's Negro War or the Black Seminoles was the largest slave rebellion in U.S. history. Now it's funny they call it the Indian War the largest slave rebellion in U.S. history, and they also calling it a Negro War, Florida's Negro War. And then you see further down we got Negro Fort. We're gonna talk about Negro Fort too, but we're gonna talk about the Negro War first. And right now I'm on JSTOR. Negroes in the Seminole War, 1835, 1842. And if you ain't got a JSTOR account, man,
You big dummy.
you tripping. It's free. You can read 100 articles a month online for free. It costs to download a lot of them if you want to download them and print them out, which I do sometimes because I just like to have the information. You never know when they're going to snatch it right up from under our nose. So I like to get it and keep it. But we're going to look at JSTOR. Just sign in with your Google and get you a JSTOR account. Negroes in the Seminole War, 1835 to 1842. We ain't going to read the whole thing. It's just a few things I want to point out. So let's get it. Y'all hear my dog barking in the back. He out there acting a donkey for whatever reason. All right. So here we go. This is by Kenneth Wiggins Porter. Negroes in the Seminole War, 1835 to 1842. Now I am suspecting some kind of hijack to be present, because you know they ain't gonna never tell the full truth and nothing but the truth. They gonna always mix a little truth with a little lie to throw you off. All right. The Second Seminole War lasted from December 1835. Now I gotta shrink it down some because I barely can see y'all. Man, let's see. Wait a minute. Let me see if I get this just right. All right. The Second Seminole War lasted from December 1835 to August 1842 and cost over $40 million, and the lives of approximately 1,500 members of the armed forces of the United States, in addition to those of white settlers and militiamen. It is usually referred to as the country's most protracted and expensive Indian War, but Major General Thomas Sidney Jessup, who was in command in Florida during its most crucial period, announced emphatically late in 1836, "This is a Negro, not an Indian war." But because the Negro is the fucking Indian, he just ain't know. You big dummy.
Big dummy.
See, they play with these words, and some people just get lost in the sauce. The man told you it's the biggest Indian, most costly. The government told you it was the most costly Indian war. This fool went down there and said, "Hey, it's a damn Negro war." Notice they ain't used the word African. That wasn't even around at the time. They wasn't calling nobody no African, fool. Oh, that's recent hijack. He said this is a Negro war, not an Indian war, because the Negro is an Indian, fool. The general, of course, was employing hyperbole to emphasize his belief that if the war would see, now they want to see. Look what they saying. So you got to dodge the hijack. Like I said, these writers, Mr. Kenneth Wiggins, he want to interject his own opinions into stuff instead of sticking to the facts. So let's break this down slow. I'm gonna come back again because I don't want to lose nobody. It said it is usually referred to as the country's most protracted and expensive Indian War, but Major General Thomas Sidney Jessup, who was in command in Florida, he was in command during this most crucial period, announced emphatically late in 1836, "This is a damn nigger war."
You big dummy.
Now here go Kenneth Wiggins right after that, trying to interject his opinions and saying the general, of course, he was just employing hyperbole. You know how they do. He trying to employ his own. See, that's why you got, when you read the stuff, you got to read through it. You got to break it down slow. He talking about the general, of course. Yeah, of course that's what he meant. Yeah, was employing hyperbole to emphasize his belief that the war was not speedily put down. The souls would feel the effects of it on their slave population before the end of the next season. Yeah, they were slaving all the Indians who were Negroes. We already read that. In other words, that a general slave insurrection might ensue. Actually, the war, which was undoubtedly an Indian war, was just as certainly a Negro war. Read through the fine print. Actually, the war, which was undoubtedly an Indian war, was just as certainly a Negro war. Salute. The Negroes were Indians, but they tried to tell you without telling you that. There is abundant evidence that Negroes were more important. See, they want to say more important than the Indians. See, they try to fool you. That's just like saying, they want to use titles to throw you off. That's just like saying Negroes and Israelites. You talking about the same people, but you try to imply it's a difference. So let's move on. Let's go to this other article. Just want to pull a little bit of that out of there to give y'all a little taste of this truth we spreading out here. Salute. Now this from the Florida crisis of 1826 to 1827 and the Second Seminole War. Yeah, the Negro War. They always want to say the second one. They always want to bring up the second one, but I'm going to give y'all some game about the first one when we get to Fort Negro. They always want to bring, because see, they can't deny that when they got to the second part of the Seminole War, man, it wasn't nothing but Negroes. You can't deny that. Even when you look at Tustenuggee, a Mathler, Jim Boy, who we started off with, they was using him as an interpreter. Cause he could speak English and he spoke the language of the Seminole Indian. He was using he used his own people to help the government for his own selfish gain. He gave the government the drop. He gave them the lingo. And so they gonna try to tell you though in these articles, yeah, these African slaves, man, they was bilingual. They gonna tell you a slave from Africa that came here and learned English and the Indian language, and
You
in
big
a short
dummy.
amount of time you supposed to believe that. Not only that, they knew where to run to. Come on, man. People clearly Seminole Indians. All right, so let's get it. The Florida crisis of 1826 to 1822 and the Second Seminole War. Man, YouTube be mad we be reading shit like this, y'all. They be hating on it, y'all. Hit that like and share this shit. All right, this one by Cantor Brown Jr. The Second Seminole War comprised the single most significant event of Florida's territorial period, lasting from December 1835 to August 1842. That wasn't that long ago, y'all. The contest produced results and influences that reverberated through generations. Among other considerations, this violence reached into the fabric of society to exacerbate racial, ethnic, and regional divisions, and to mark patterns of behavior in race relations. Who they talking about? Talking about black and white, Indians and Europeans or whatever. The struggle provided context for the clashes that characterized the drive towards statehood. It witnessed the birth and evolution of area Democratic and Whig parties. Additionally, the war brought to Florida a bounty of federal government expenditures and internal improvements. Let me scroll down and get to the juice. Scholars and the public have given considerable attention to the Second Seminole War, but numerous questions remain as to the significance of and motivations for key events occurring during the contest. The Dade Massacre of December 28, 1835, and the related murder at Fort King of Indian agent Wiley Thompson. Yeah, they murdered that agent. Provide examples. Historians often have cited the Tallahassee Creek leader Osceola's personal animosities toward Thompson. Yeah, Osceola ain't like him. They knew he was an agent. He was a known agent, Indian agent for the government, trying to make backhand deals with our people. But do such personal motivation help to explain other incidents? Let's continue. Hold on. Let me just click over another page real quick. It was some more dry. I ain't gonna read this whole one either, but it was something important I wanted to get to. That's in here just to make a clear point before we move on to Negro Fort. All right, the massacre's location, the manner and timing of the day's murder, and the magnitude of violence unleashed upon his men number among interesting possibilities. The roles played in that day's events by black leaders, especially interpreter Louis Facio Pacheco and the counselor Abraham, Black Abraham the Negro, offer further grounds for examination. All right, Abraham the Negro is John Horse, if you ain't know. And I'm going to do something on John Horse a little later. I ain't going to do it tonight. But see, it's a lot of prominent Seminole Indian Negroes involved in this Seminole War that you need to know about. And they've been playing on both sides. These inquiries reflect only a small portion of the war's enigmas, ironies, and unexplained occurrences. Areas unexplained when they involve you Negroes. See, it ain't history when you involve you Negroes. Now it's mystery. It ain't his story no more. Now it's mystery. It's involving you Negroes. The experience of Lachlo Tustenuggee or Tiger Tail. That's another Tustenuggee. See, it's a lot of drop in here, but it was something in particular that I read I wanted to get to when they was talking about the languages. How the Negroes supposed to have been so quick to been able to learn Indian language and English, but then the same people they tell you through eugenics you're supposed to be an imbecile or some kind of jackass or son of a monkey, but all of a sudden though, when they trying to hide your identity, they telling you from Africa. They go, but he's smart enough. He learned to speak Creek, and he learned English really fast. You know, in a matter of months, and learned how to run away to Florida. All kind of
You
big
big
dummy
dummy.
shit. No, half of y'all can get dropped off across the town in your own damn city and get lost and don't know your way back home. If you live in the right neighborhood you ain't been in. But we'll continue. Let me click one more page over. I think it's on the third page over where they was talking about these languages. I be reading a lot of stuff, y'all, so sometimes I get mixed up. Y'all gotta forgive me. Let me see. All right, I might have double click. Yeah, I remember. All right, hold on. Yeah, cause see, I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and a lot of this happened right in Jacksonville and in the places that surround my location. So you know, the history is here. And like y'all more than welcome to read this on your own. You know, yeah, okay, yeah, this is why I wanted to get to too. All right, the well-laid official plan soon went awry. By the time of Brooks' arrival, problems already had surfaced. The Indians appear to me to be more and more displeased by the treaty. See, they was making these treaties to take these people land, man, to take our ancestors' land, which was our lands, and shit wasn't going down like that. It was backhand deals going on, people claiming stuff that wasn't theirs, and all kind of shit. So war was breaking out. It said the Indians appear to me to be more and more displeased at the treaty. He reported in April 1824, and still more at the running of the line. He added, "I am not unapprehensive of some difficulty. As of July, 1,500 individuals required rations, and the numbers mounted. Drought parched the peninsula in 1825. Desperate Indians and blacks, same people, they want to keep saying Indians and blacks, that raided white settlements for beef and other supplies." Y'all need to stop it with the Indians and blacks and just tell the truth. Talk about the same people. Cut the nonsense out. The jig is up. But in this here, I mean, I forget, I got lost in the sauce. But in this article though, they talking about how they was using similar Indians that was scared. Basically, they was scared. They was promising that, yeah, we ain't, the settlers, the colonizers, we ain't gonna take your land, just give them other niggas up. And they was doing it, you know what I'm saying? They was doing it, and it was backfiring on them like it did on Tustenuggee, his dumb ass. He ought to been born looking like this. It's a disgrace for him to look like this and to do his people like that, you know? But let's continue. The Seminole War was heavy. But they always talking about the second Seminole War as the Negro War, and they want to act like that's the significance. But no. Right in the beginning of the war, let's look at what actually started this war. Let's look at the first major battle of the Seminole War. It was actually fought at the attack on Negro Fort. A lot of y'all might not even heard of Negro Fort. I suggest you look it up. It's all good though. I got you covered. I got it right here. Here's a picture of Negro Fort. Yeah, old Star Fort with the bastions on the corners, the firing bastions. Yeah, Star Fort. We seen these before. Let's read about Negro Fort. Now see this funny, cause see, they always gonna try to throw you off. They put Negro Fort. Now that's the name of it through history, but in modern times they'll throw in parentheses African Fort, just to remind you, nigga, don't go to thinking you were Indian.
You big dummy.
They gotta always throw their disclaimer there. Wikipedia, man, y'all ain't fooling us, man. The jig is up. We know what's up, man. We see your hijack. You ain't got to put African Fort in parentheses. We know what Negro Fort is. American Indian Fort. Cut it out. Now see, on this, they're going to tell you it's a fortification built by the British. But I actually found out something that says otherwise. And see, that's why we got to always dodge these hijacks. And give me a second. Let me pull it up on my tablets so I can pull up the exact site. They talking about Negro Fort, and they saying Negro Fort was built by by another Tustenuggee and some people. They was trying to say that Negro Fort wasn't really built by what Wikipedia saying. We know Wikipedia be lying. But we go ahead and read what Wikipedia say. Negro Fort was a short-lived fortification. See, they saying, and peep the game. They want to say it was built by the British in 1814 during the war of 1812 in a remote part of what was now Spanish Florida. What was at the time Spanish Florida. It was intended to support a never realized British attack on the U.S. via its southwest border, by means of which they could free all these southern countries or states from the yoke of the Americans. Built on a militarily significant site overlooking. See, they trying to give you all this extra bullshit, trying to make it sound like a glorified American story. I could just see the flag waving in the background, you know. But they skip all that and get right to the cut. And they say, okay, trading posts of Patton, Leslie and Company, and then John Ford's and Company loyalists hostile to the United States had existed since the late 18th century. There and at the San Marcos Fort, serving local Native Americans and fugitive slaves. See, it's always Native Americans and fugitive slaves, because they tell you who they were slaving, the Indians, but then they want to say Native Americans and fugitive slaves. The fugitive slave was Indians, fool. We know this. You want to try to say blacks and Indians. We know. The latter, the runaway or free colored slaves, see, from plantations in the American South, used their experience of farming and animal husbandry. See, all this just the hijack, the romanticized hijack, with this old bullshit fugitive African story. They was using the word Negro, not Africans. You gonna put your new hijack in the renegade Negroes. You know, it's bullshit, y'all. You got to see through it. But I read elsewhere that the Seminole Indians built Fort Negro. You know, now they want to claim that the British built that fort and they left the fort for the Indians and the Negroes to use because the battle ain't happening. So basically, the fort was destroyed in 1816 while under the command of General Edmund P. Gaines, when a hot cannonball landed in the magazine, destroying the fort. The action is also referred to as the Battle of Negro Fort, also called the Battle of Prospect Bluff, also called the Battle of African Fort, also called Gadsden Fort. They done renamed it so many times to throw you off.
You big dummy.
Just like they done renamed your black ass 100 times and called you non-white, called you colored, copper colored, called you American Indian, called you a Negro, called you African American, mulatto, called your ass all kind of shit. Just like they did this damn fort, because they trying to cover up the truth with a bunch of lies. The formerly enslaved Africans, now they formerly enslaved Africans. See how that paper genocide just happened? They went from being Seminole Indians and Negroes to all the way down here becoming the formerly enslaved Africans. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'allself, man. Y'all ain't fooling nobody. Not familiar with use of cannons and other heavy munitions, and they were thus unable to defend themselves. Yeah, man, this don't even sound right, man. You read other stories and they man, I just can't. I can't go along with the hijack. When I just see the hijack so clearly, man, y'all, I can't keep doing it. I can't keep doing it. But what I want to pay attention to though, let me go back up. Let's do it like this. I want to do it like this real quick. On this Negro Fort shit. Now, like we saw Wikipedia just told us, Wikipedia just tried to lie to us and tell us that the British built the Negro Fort, and they say they built it with African and Indian slaves, right? That's what they just said. They said, yeah, we use African and Indian slaves to build the Negro Fort. That's what the British said. But the British supposed to have designed and built it. Now we see what this Negro Fort, not African, the Negro Fort. You see what Negro Fort look like. It built for black Indians, right? The British built it for use, and it ain't having. They say, y'all, you niggas can keep it, right?
You big dummy.
If we really supposed to believe that. But then, if I pull up this right here, another star fort in America, and there's hundreds of them from North and South America, and they've been here since ancient times. I believe they pre-flood. I don't believe the British designed shit. Yeah, I believe the Nagas built it, but I don't believe the British designed it. That's some bullshit. It's like the Castillo de San Marcos in St. Augustine, not far from where I live. And we'll go to what Wikipedia say about this. Now, this is what's gonna be funny. Now, if you look at this, the Castillo de San Marco, it looked strikingly similar to Negro Fort. It looked just about. I would say it was designed and built by the same people. You know, it had to be what they gonna say, blacks and Native Americans. They're gonna say blacks and Indians or black Indians. You know what I'm saying? Black slash Indians. What you gonna try to tell us? Built it, but under the guide of the British. Let's see what they say. Yeah, look just like Negro Fort, don't it? Castillo de San Marco. Look at that. Go back to Negro Fort. Not Osceola. Yeah. Yeah, mighty damn similar, huh? Alright. So we saw Negro Fort, the British claiming they built it, like they claim that they whitewashed everything else, but they say they designed it and they made the niggers and the Indians. Or the niggers is the Indians, whatever they want to mean by that. They made them build it. Now Castillo de San Marco, Spanish for St. Mark's Castle, is the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States. It is located on the western shore of Matanzas Bay in the city of St. Augustine, Florida. It was designed by the Spanish engineer Ignacio Daza. Now hold up, man. You mean tell me the Spanish engineer had the same damn design as the British engineer?
You big dummy.
Let me see. Did he get niggas and nigger Indians to build it too? With construction beginning in 1672, 107 years after the city's founding by Spanish admiral and conquistador Pedro Menendez de Avilés, when Florida was part of the Spanish Empire, the fort's construction was ordered by the governor Francisco de la Guerrera y de la Vega after a raid. Blah blah blah. Let me stroll down. Who built it? Though built in part by black slaves owned by the Spanish, the fort later served as one of the first entry points of fugitive slaves. See what I mean? The Naga built this one too. The Naga and who else? The Naga and the Indians built that one. When you told us on Fort Negro, it looked just like that shit. You say the British built this one. You say the British built this one though. And you say you want to call this one Negro Fort, and then you hijacked and start calling the African Fort recently. But you gonna say this one was to serve local Native Americans and blacks or fugitive slaves, huh? Or is that the same people? What we talking about here? You think I'm dumb?
You big dummy.
Yeah, I read the fine print, y'all. I read between the lines. I ain't with that bullshit. I ain't with nobody lying to me. If you motherfucker trying to lie to me, you gonna have a hard ass time trying to lie to me. I read the fine motherfucking print. I read the details. Bitch, you ain't sliding shit past me. Don't even try that fuck shit. Try to slide nothing past me or my people. Because it's not gonna work. It don't take but a second to read. You know what I'm saying? Salute to the ancient one. Salute to Chief Darius. Salute to the patriarch. Salute to Conrad. Salute to the tribe. Salute to the bros and the sis in the house. It's time to tribe up. Time to tribe up. Now y'all hit me in the chat. Let me know what y'all think. We're gonna do some more on this though. We're gonna break down these Seminole Wars a little more, because if you keep up with the timeline, it tell you from like 1817 to 1842 when the Seminole Wars went down. You had Andrew Jackson killing up the niggas. You had the Indian Removal Act, where it's pushing our people to west of the Mississippi River in Oklahoma. You had the Trail of Tears, which was full of niggas. Everybody know. If you don't know history,
You big
just
dummy.
Trail of Tears was full of niggas. Then right after they get to Oklahoma on the Indian Reserve, not even 100 years later, you got Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street blowing the fuck up right on the Indian reservation. And guess what? The colonizers blew that up too.
You big dummy.
And if you can't see the relationship from the Seminole Wars to the Trail of Tears to Black Wall Street and the destruction of it, you are blind, my friend. You need to open your eyes. We're gonna break this down a little more, y'all. But that's gonna be it for the night, man. I'm Blackjack. This House of Masculinity. Shout out to the tribe. Shout out to everybody out there that support the channel, man. Hey, peace. We out.